Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry and this is Your Own Adventure. Today we're starting a new series called Alternate Lines, where we tackle features ranging from easy to difficult, try to find new ways to ride it, maybe an easier way, or maybe just a way to overcome the feature altogether. So if you want to learn more, keep on watching. In a really hard gear here. This trail specifically is called Magic Mountain. Has a difficult rating, so we're gonna start with a bang here. It's a very steep climb behind me, very rocky, very rooty, and it has a lot of slick clay style riding terrain. So getting your tires to lock up on this is very tricky, and especially if it's just rained. There's actually some moisture on the trail right now. And so we're gonna try to ride this in a very light gear first to spin up the hill, and then we're gonna try to brute force our way up the hill and just see what works the best and try to share that information with you. Get it, bud? Keep it going. Oh, you got that. You got. I think you got that one. Keep it going. Yeah. Nice. Ah, very close. Very close. So you might be wondering how these formations came to be. Well, these are actually diggings from a quarry that you could see just on the other side of this big hill. There used to be a quarry here, and they put all their diggings on the outside of the quarry because it's just the easiest way to, get rid of them. So these are all canal diggings and, quarry waste. So it's all packed up with lime rock and clay and roots from many years of just growth and maturity, and it creates a very challenging environment and a very fun climb at the same time. So we're gonna get right into it and try riding this thing. Okay, so we're at the Magic Mountain climb here. This is a very difficult rating, and we actually just had the pleasure of watching some new riders to it hit it. They're actually from the mountains and weren't able to clean it. So hopefully this video will actually be helpful in explaining how you might want to approach this, or give you another, just another way to approach it. So we're gonna get into it right now. About in the middle of my gear range here, and I'm completely seated. And I'm riding it seated all the way up to the top. And again, right in the middle of my gear range. Not too light, not too heavy, if you could see there. Yeah, right, maybe a little bit, maybe one gear higher than the middle gear. And I was able to clean that pretty easily. And now we're gonna ride it down. So that was my preferred method of hitting Magic Mountain. I didn't necessarily stop beforehand or change my speed coming into the approach. I just rode it, at a medium rate in my middle gear and stayed seated the whole time. I was maybe a little bit easier than my middle gear going up this thing, but you actually want to maintain that traction and power. You don't want it to be so easy that you're spinning out, which I'm going to show you right now. From the base of this climb, I'm going to try using the easiest gear to get up there and see if that works. And then finally, we're going to try to brute force it and just put it in a really hard gear and come at it like as fast as possible and see how those different techniques play into achieving the goal of completing the climb. All right, this is very high cadence from seated position at the base of Magic Mountain. We're gonna see if this technique works. I'm going really slow here. You have to really keep your balance in the middle of the bike. Right here is where I would imagine my slippage. See, I just slipped there. I'm staying seated to keep that back wheel on the ground. I was still able to achieve that climb without taking a foot out. You may have seen me put my hand on the rock to keep myself up, but I got the majority of the way there. And we're gonna try to clean this up. This is seated, highest gear, and no dabs. So the trick is really the balance here if you wanted to spin up this thing in your easiest gear. Keeping the front end down, which is gonna really help on a cross-country bike. Doing it on a trail bike will be a little bit harder with that slackened head angle, but there it is, cleaned it up. Stayed seated the majority of the time, except right at the very end, I had to kind of get out of it to get the power down, because I knew at that point I was already out and not much more could go wrong there. So this is another technique that I see a lot of people trying. I think the two most popular techniques are spinning up at really easy gear or brute forcing it up really fast and more power to your rear wheel. So we're gonna try that one. We're gonna pedal into it really fast and hard. Try to keep that gear the whole time. And I'm probably gonna climb out of the saddle for this one. In a really hard gear here. And that one I had to be really aggressive, and I do not recommend it, but you can get it done. You really don't want to be shifting gears mid-climb, so if you go with middle to on the easier end of middle gear, I think you're gonna have the best results. Well, there you go. There's 3 different ways to hit this challenging climb at Magic Mountain. The rating is actually very difficult, so it's probably one of the hardest climbs and technically hardest trails in Santos. I showed you 3 different ways to tackle it. The first being middle gear, not too much thinking, just spinning up the hill in the saddle, keeping your power very consistent and even. It's going to be something that's really familiar to you, so I really think that's the best method of attack there. The second one was really easy gear on the biggest ring in the back and starting from a stop at the base of the climb. That one you can do. As you saw, it was a lot more challenging on the balancing side of riding. You really have to keep your core in the middle of the bike and be able to feel the front wheel lifting off of the actual hill and be able to control it. But I will say that the easiest gear is going to be, no kidding, it's going to be the easiest way to get up it as far as expending your energy, but it is probably the most technical way to do it. You're going to have to be a very skilled rider to try that out yourself. And then finally, we tried to brute force our way up because, as I said at the beginning, I think the two main ways people initially think of riding this is on the faster end or on the really high cadence, easy gear side of things. And to be honest, neither of them are the easiest way to do it. The brute force way, you have to have a lot of power in your legs and be confident in your climbing ability and know exactly what your bike's going to do, because coming up it at that speed, you have to make sure that you're not going to hit any of the rocks, and you're also going to have to be prepared to put the power down the whole climb up and change your riding position on the bike, because I did that fully standing, and it was probably the hardest method of climbing that thing. So those are some tips for climbing Magic Mountain here in Santos. That has been Alternate Lines. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to go out there and create your own adventure however you can. Spread some positivity. I'll see you on the next one.